Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Tuesday, 6th August 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Trinidad and Tobago loses yet another potential investor on account, according to Prime Minister Rowley, of the opposition scandalizing this certain investor. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Chairman of Jindal Steel and Power Limited, Naveen Jindal, has opted out of investing in the Point-à-Pierre refinery. This was revealed by Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, on Saturday evening as he chastised the opposition for once again chasing away investors. Sunil Lala of TTT News reports.
This is scandals all over again.
A frustrated Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said he received a letter from Chairman of the Jindal Group, Naveen Jindal, on July 26th, indicating that he's no longer interested in the Guaracara refinery. Mr. Jindal visited the Prime Minister in June and expressed his interest in the potential of restarting the mothballed refinery. Speaking in Diego Martin on Saturday evening, Dr. Rowley cited one major reason behind Mr. Jindal's decision to opt out, quoting directly from the letter.
The character assassination I experienced merely for considering the investment opportunity in the Guaracara refinery was deeply disheartening and discouraging. Moreover, the unjust attacks directed at our group's companies, entities that operate independently and are unconnected to legal matters, mischaracterized in the local press and parliament, set a troubling precedent for potential investors planning to invest in Trinidad and Tobago.
The Prime Minister said TNT has again lost a significant investment opportunity because of the actions of the opposition.
This is an investor who was prepared to consider putting in a bid in the offer of approximately $700 million to bring that refinery into operation. And the only people in this country who don't want that to happen is a handful of politicians who don't care if you eat the bread the devil need, because they prefer to have the refinery there, talking stupidness about it.
Dr. Rowley also criticized the constant objection from other quarters regarding the interest in the refinery from Jindal.
This is from a company that has the ability to do it. Not like people who want the refinery but they can't pay their lawyer. They can't pay their accountant. They're singing Calypso and burning my picture.
And as for the Sandals project that did not take place in Tobago, he said he's haunted by reminders from the St. Vincent Prime Minister.
And he spent the whole 2 days teasing me about sandals and telling me about the wonderful effect of sandals on the economy of St. Vincent. For those of you who don't know, it is the sandals project that was supposed to go to Tobago that ended up in St. Vincent.
Sonolala, TTT News.
The National Advisory Committee on Constitution Reform has handed over its report to Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. This from the committee's chairman, attorney-at-law and former House Speaker, Barendra Sinanan, during an interview on the morning edition.
The committee held consultations in both Trinidad and Tobago, where members of the public had the opportunity to voice their opinion. In January, the government appointed a 7-member committee to coordinate and lead a national consultation on constitution reform. On Friday, The committee's chairman, Barindra Sinanan, handed over its report to the Prime Minister. A post on the Office of the Prime Minister's Facebook page stated that the committee provided Prime Minister Rowley and government ministers present with a summary of key issues raised during the consultations. Mr. Sinanan spoke with TV6 prior to the handover and said that the document entailed numerous recommendations.
Our report is very aspirational, and it's the hope of the committee that the government will do its best to address all, if not most, of the recommendations.
The committee's chairman acknowledges that the changes would come at a cost to the government if they were to implement the recommendations. However, he is of the view that it is all quite workable.
The question that would arise out of most of the stuff that we've recommended would be affordability, because we talk about the right to health, right to housing, right to clean water, a clean environment. All these things have cost implementations, but can be implemented over a period of time.
So what is the next move? According to the Office of the Prime Minister, the report is to be presented to the Cabinet, who will then initiate a public national consultation on its proposals later this year. OPM further stated that Prime Minister Rowley will seek Cabinet's approval to extend the National Advisory Committee's tenure to allow for what it terms broader discussions on constitution reform. It is the hope that this would incorporate a greater representation of the population's perspective. Aksha Galston, TV6 News.
In the meantime, leader of the National Transformation Alliance, Gary Griffith, has warned of another mass influx of migrants from neighboring Venezuela in light of heightened social unrest in the country following the results of the presidential elections.
At least 11 killed in post-election protests in Venezuela over the past week. Former top cop and leader of the National Transformation Alliance, Gary Griffith, says it is inevitable that Trinidad and Tobago will soon experience another mass influx of migrants.
We have a situation where it is quite likely, because of the volatile situation, because of the fear of political victimization, the fear that the lifestyle will get even worse in Venezuela as it is now, there's going to be a virtual influx of tens upon tens of thousands of Venezuelans entering Trinidad and Tobago illegally because of based on desperation, based on a need for a better lifestyle. And this is not to criticize those citizens. I am speaking about looking after the benefit of the Trinidad and Tobago citizens in this country. And there's not been one finger lifted by the National Security Council as it pertains to this.
He says the national security apparatus should have already taken steps to assess the risks and put mitigating measures in place.
We have 7 Coast Guard vessels that are now parked in Stobels Bay right there. Several of them should be right now in that southwestern peninsula between Venezuela and Trinidad. We should also have all the police stations. We speak about high alert. They should be on high alert. We have 5,000 members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force on standby in their camps in 1990. They should be out on patrol in all of the locations where the illegal entry, as it pertains to human trafficking, illegal drugs and weapons, will be entering.
The NTA leader further warns that the country's socio-economic situation and crime situation will only worsen should this come to pass.
Of unemployment, sexual exploitation of minors, prostitution, human trafficking, illegal entry of persons, Trinidad and Tobago citizens losing their jobs, increased crime if these individuals cannot get their jobs. And then with all of that, it is now going to be an added burden to our economy, added burden to the health situation, to the education situation, and all of this. Not one finger has been lifted by the government to ascertain this can be a disaster waiting to happen. What can we do to prevent it?
In fact, Griffith believes this country has more in common with Venezuela than all leaders care to admit.
We have become no different to Venezuela, where we have reached a situation now where there's dictatorship by the use of the firearm and there's dictatorship by the use of the pen. We have seen the dictatorship in this country, Trinidad and Tobago. Anyone who is independent, whether it is the Office of the Commissioner of Police, the DPP's office, the director of the SSA, the head of the Industrial Court, the head of the Integrity Commission, the head of the Central Bank, the judiciary, every single person is under attack.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Venezuela's opposition leader has joined thousands of protesters demanding the presidential election results be overturned. Hundreds have been arrested during demonstrations across the country since President Nicolas Maduro was declared the winner. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
Carrying Venezuelan flags and wearing white t-shirts, thousands of people took to the streets with one message: we're here to defend our vote. In spite of being threatened with prison, opposition leader Maria Corina Machado joined the protest.
The world knows they intend to forcefully withhold the result. 6 days later, they have not handed over a single record. The period has expired and the pseudo-legal maneuver can cover up the truth. The truth is in our tallies and the fact is in our hearts.
The Electoral Council has declared President Nicolás Maduro the winner, though it has failed to publish the fully voting results. The government says its system was hacked. Opposition supporters, who also acted as witnesses on election day, displayed some of the tally sheets in their possession as proof of what they say was a massive fraud. Over 1,000 people have been arrested in the past week. 90 of them teenagers, human rights groups say. Andrés Cañizales is a Venezuelan professor. He says Sunday's election was the beginning of a new era in Venezuela.
In the past, you had an authoritarian government that held semi-competitive elections. Now the government does not accept results and decides to rule all the same.
President Nicolás Maduro says the opposition is trying to get him out of office and blames the United States. On Saturday, thousands of his supporters also took to the streets to defend the administration.
I denounce that the government of the United States, together with Elon Musk and the international fascist of Milei, are at the forefront of a destabilization process and a coup d'etat at this moment against the Venezuelan people and against Venezuelan democracy.
This is not the first time Maduro has faced a controversial election or protests on the streets. But it is the first time the opposition says it can prove they defeated him. That's why they say they will remain on the streets, convinced truth is on their side. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
CVM's Trisha Gay Kelly reports that a new vessel has been commissioned for enhanced maritime security in Jamaica.
Jamaica's newest vessel, now called His Majesty's Jamaican ship HMJS Marcus Garvey, is a work of art showcasing high levels of technology, comfort and resilience. And as the qualities suggest, the vessel is expected to display this resilience while being used by Coast Guards to secure the island's borders. Jamaica Defense Force JDF Chief of Defense Staff Vice Admiral Antoinette Weemis Gorman says the ship will enhance maritime capabilities.
We must also maintain the capacity to combat the traditional threats such as poaching and transnational organized activity in our maritime space. This will ensure the continued development of Jamaica's blue economy for the benefit of all.
The ship was contracted with Damen Shipyards, a Dutch defense, shipbuilding and engineering company. Their representative, Lieutenant Commander El Carter, says the vessel will not only serve defense purposes.
We have jointly set a standard in the region, and many have followed, as I said. With this second 5009 Stand Patrol, Damen Stand Patrol, the JDF will be able to safeguard the maritime borders, and she will also be able and capable to be used as a disaster relief.
Speaking of disaster relief, the ship will aid the JDF with its post-hurricane barrel recovery efforts and future natural disasters. Prime Minister Andrew Holness highlighted the benefit of investing in the guardians of the country.
For many years, Jamaica did not invest sufficiently in the capacity and capabilities of the JDF and other critical institutions, leaving us vulnerable to all kinds of threats. Recognizing this, we have significantly increased our investment and support of the JDF over the last 9 years.
The vessel is the sixth and final ship within Jamaica's contract with Damen Shipyards. Trisha G. Kelly, CVM News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.